Today I'm going to put the thrust bearings on all 4 coilovers. I have them on the rear currently, but I'm going to pack these new ones with grease and replace them and put them on the front too. That'll help eliminate coil bind when turning. So that's what I'm going to do. Alright, so I have the coilover out. I left the top hat in the car. I just removed the top nut and then dropped it out. So now I'll take it apart. I'll inspect it while I have it apart. Make sure there's no oil leaking. Everything looks nice and dry. Okay. So the thrust washer is just going to sit on top of here, and what it'll allow the spring to do is to freely twist when you're turning. So I'm going to clean these while I have them out. To eliminate coil bind. Now I'm going to grease the bearings. Use a heavy grease. I have a Mobile SHC 100. So there's 2 washers, and then the bearing. It's going to go washer, bearing, washer, and then spring on top like that, and it'll allow the spring to twist smoothly. I feel like that should be okay. And my hands are a mess. So that sucks. So it fits perfectly on the plastic perch. So one's going to go on like that. That's going to go down on the bottom. Then it's going to go the bearing, and then the top washer, then the spring. Washer, or the spacer. And I put this rubber isolator around the top. It's like a hard rubber to eliminate on some noise and, you know, whatever. I don't know if it does anything at all, but it gives me peace of mind. So now it twists nice and easily, no binding at all. This one's ready to go back in. Don't forget the bump stop and the boot. Alright, one other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to lower. I'm going to take the preload off of the spring, so when I put this back up into the strut top, when I tighten the top nut, I'm not fighting against the spring pressure. So I'll take the spring pressure off, tighten the top nut, then I'll reset my preload. So now when I put that back into the top, I'll tighten this down and it'll tighten down completely onto the bushing here, and then I can reset preload. Alright, so the shock is secured into the hub. This bolt is tightened. I used a jack to jack up the whole control arm. And then I push the shaft back up through the top hat, put on the top nut, and tighten this down. So now this is tightened down. So now I can reset my preload. So now I'm going to let the control arm down. So now the spring is loose, okay? So preload is getting the spring tight, and then Swift Spring recommends, I think, 4 to 5 millimeter of additional compression on the spring. So we're going to spin it up until it's tight. Okay, so now you can actually see how the thrust washers help with the bind. Look at how they just spin easily now. All right, so now we're at tight. It's at 0 basically, and we can measure the length. It's a 5-inch spring, so I'll measure from the top up here down to the bottom. And it's right at a little over 5 inches. 5 inch and 1/16. So now I'm going to spin this up, guesstimate about 1/4 inch, and then I'll remeasure. So now I can feel that there's some pressure on it. So that's good. I went up about 5 millimeters, and I will lock it in.